Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai,
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Shishi Gauranitai ki Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namne Namah Shunyo
Hare Krishna,
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste
Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome. My name is Krishna Dulal Das, and I'd like to welcome you to our Sunday Feast program. This is the residence of our beloved Shri Shri Gaura Nitai Ki Jaya. And maybe before we continue going forward, I was going to ask, is anybody here coming for the first time? I'm seeing some new faces. Hello, welcome for coming. Wonderful. For the first time, thank you for coming. Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Don't mind me asking, how did you find out about this place over here? How did you know that we're having a little gathering here and doing a funny dance? And
I looked it up.
you looked it up. So were you looking for something like this? Okay, wonderful. Have you ever been to an ISKCON temple before? Is it your
Not
first
this
time?
one. I did the ashram in Montreal. It's not in Montreal. It's in Val-Morin.
Oh, right. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. And yourselves, you've been to temple? Oh, okay. So there's a connection, family connection. Yes, okay. All right, well, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'd also like to acknowledge, do we have some devotees joining us online also, too? I can go over there. You don't have to change anything. Let's just go see them inside. Thank you. So, I'd like to welcome devotees online. We have Mother Anandamai, Hare Krishna, welcome. And Mother Ann as well, Hare Bol. Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Jaya, Hare Krishna. Mother Leela Mohini, Hare Krishna, welcome. Matsu Prabhu, Hare Bol. MB, Hare Krishna, welcome. Nadia, Mother Nadia, Hare Krishna, welcome. Mother Sadhana, Hare Bol. Shantosh Ravemkar, Hare Krishna. Mother Sonia, Hare Krishna. Sunil Prabhu, Hare Krishna. And we have Prashanti as well. Hare Krishna, welcome. And see, my wife is also here. Raja Premika, Hare Krishna, welcome. Welcome to you all. So, some of you may be wondering if it's your first experience coming to the temple here. This is kind of what we do. It's mantra meditation. And it mainly revolves around this mantra that we spent a lot of time doing, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is the mantra that we chant when we greet the Lord, when we think about the Lord, when we meditate about the Lord. This is what we say when we welcome other devotees who are also eager to see the Lord and each other. And the meaning of this mantra, essentially, we're making direct communion, direct connection with the Lord, with Krishna, with God. Just like in the Bible, it says at some point, at the beginning there was the Word, and then the Word was God. Right? So, according to our tradition and our Vedic culture, our instructions, when we chant this Maha Mantra, this Maha means great, and mantra, Man means mind, and Tra to connect. When we chant this, we're directly associating with the Lord. And for us, this is actually the process. Our process is to try to associate more and more with the Lord in His name form. And what it does, it actually cleans our hearts. It's a process of cleaning the mirror of our heart. And it basically, by doing it, we realize what is our purpose and who we actually are. Right? And it says that actually we are the soul. I am the spirit soul. And the spirit soul's purpose is to serve Krishna somehow. And the soul is Sachitananda Vigraha. It says that it's eternal, it's full of knowledge, and it's full of bliss. So when we do this together, it's a joyous occasion, joyous time. And as you can see, we were having little Aarti, different paraphernalia were being offered to the Lord as well. It was a lamp, we had incense, we had a flower, and actually the focus of our movement is actually to dedicate ourselves 100%, 24/7. Whatever we do, whether it's the work that we do or go to school, to try to kind of dedicate it to the service of the Lord somehow. So I'm sure there's some other questions that are going to arise. So at this point, we have the good fortune of having a speaker today, and I have a co-host that's going to give an introduction to our speaker. So that's pretty much the program for today. We'll have a little bit of a discussion, a lecture, and after the lecture, we will have more Kirtan, and then some prasadam will be served. So prasadam is food that has been offered to the Lord. So we have a nice vegetarian feast that was prepared by a family here today. So we hope that you can stay. The program will go till about 7 o'clock or so. And yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for your association today. Today we have our own Guruprasad Prabhu as for the Sunday feast. So there's a little introduction about you, Prabhu. Guruprasad Prabhu obtained engineering degree and he worked for 4 years in India and Germany, and then he came to Canada in the mid-70s. He did further studies in Montreal, and then he met devotees at that time. He visited the local ISKCON temple regularly and had their association. In 1975, he met with Srila Prabhupada, and then soon he moved into the temple ashram while he worked a regular job. Later he gave up the job and served full-time, going out for book distribution, Harinam Sankirtan, and meeting with devotees, having their association, inspiring them and giving a lot of motivation to them. In 1977, he got the Harinam initiation. In 1979, he married a nice lady who supported him in the devotional service to support himself. And they moved, both his wife and daughter, they moved to the temple and they served in the temple in 1992. Since then, he resides in Ottawa and participates and serves at the Sri Gaura temple in Ottawa. He currently serves as the interim temple president. So we would like to welcome Sri Guruprasad Prabhu. Let's have a big applause to him. Thank you very much.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Shri Gauritai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavandi ki, Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna. We are all assembled here like every Sunday. We do this. And there is a purpose for our coming together. There is also a purpose for why ISKCON exists. ISKCON exists because we exist. ISKCON exists because Lord Sri Krishna exists. Is good enough reason to have ISKCON? I think so. Let me also say some invocation. These are also our standard practice. So that involves again glorifying our spiritual master and also some of our what we call as our lineage or sampradaya, also people in our sampradaya. Of course it's a very long list, but we will not go through everything. We will go through only some of them as given in this Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanyamo Bhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Visakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptaka Anchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vashabhanu Sati Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpaturbhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'm going to read the translation of the very first sloka only, and I'll tell you why I'm going to read the translation. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshun Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. This applies all of us. I here refers to general, especially the person who is reciting, and we all also expected to recite this whenever we read Bhagavad Gita or any other spiritual text for that matter. So if you look at our predicament, we are in a predicament. From Bhagavad Gita we learned, actually Krishna Prabhu gave a very nice introduction to today's topic. He was talking about why this we are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So any of you remember what did he say as part of it? He explained why we chant Hare Krishna mantra. Any one reason? Okay, please go ahead.
Because there is no other way.
There is no other way. Do you remember the relevant sloka also? Okay, you are quite right. There is a sloka called Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalau Nastyeva Gatir Anyatha. The tradition says, especially in our tradition, our Vedic tradition, anything repeated 3 times means very significant. You can never ignore that. 3 times. Like sometime the warning also given some 3 times, for example, children misbehave in the school, the teacher will say, first time, second time, third time, I'll get you. Right? So 3 times. So Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. Eva is another interesting thing. 3 times Hare Nama, that is name of Lord Hari. Hari is one of the names of Lord Krishna. So when you say Hari, it's also Krishna. When you say Govinda, Madhava, Madhusudana, there are so many names. So all these names refer to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So that is the only way. Eva Kevalam, that is the only way. For what? Kalau, in the age of Kali, but is currently we are born and we are existing at this time, Kalau. Nastyeva, 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 again 3 times. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Gatiranyata. Gati means what? Final destination. What should be our desire? Which final destination? There are many final destinations actually. But ultimate destination, ultimate final if you want to call it, is interim also. Because it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, based upon our tendency, inclinations, based upon our activities, what we did, there is a future birth for each of us, every soul. So there is another birth that is guaranteed. Till we take complete shelter of Lord Sri Krishna. When you take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna, the shelter of Lord Sri Krishna, by Krishna's grace, we will be released from this cycle of birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead. There is also significance why Prabhupada calls it home. This is not our home. We are here, like in the transit. These are all not necessarily talked about or thought. Previously, elders in the family used to tell, but in the past few generations, I think that is also disappearing. So the only place you can hear about it is spiritual institution. Particularly what is relevant for most of us is ISKCON. One may also go to other authentic traditions, one may also follow other authentic traditions. But there is something very special about ISKCON that you will find when you start coming here. Because everybody will feel at home here. There is nothing was asked what we are or what we were. Our past is never considered as something significant at all. No. You have come here. This was Prabhupada when he started it. There are newcomers here. So maybe last newcomer. Okay? Anyone who has heard about ISKCON before, but coming to the temple only recently, maybe first time, second time, or maybe third time. Any idea where ISKCON was started? That's right, New York. It was started in New York. But the link is back home, back in India. So this tradition comes from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we see here in the deity form, Lord Chaitanya is to our right, and Lord Nityananda is to our left. And who are they? Again, many Indians also don't know, unless they happen to come from Bengal or Odisha, right? Okay, in their family tradition it is there. I didn't know much about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu till I met ISKCON devotees. So they are none other than Krishna and Balarama. Krishna and Balaram, they appeared of their own sweet will in this Kali Yuga. How did they appear? Not as lords. They appeared, we call them Lord because we know the reason why we are calling them Lord. They appear as the devotees of the Lord. So imagine the Lord himself comes down from his supreme abode and demonstrates how to worship him. What better authority you will have about worshipping the Lord? The ultimate authority. He actually showed the way. He actually propagated Hare Ram Sankirtan and he broke all the barriers. There were barriers. In the Vedic tradition, not everybody was allowed to chant the mantra. You need some qualification. that existed. That Mahaprabhu broke that tradition. And before that also, but Mahaprabhu did in a very grand way. Before that also another great Acharya did that too. Sripad Ramanujacharya. He did, his appearance was over 1,000 years ago, much earlier than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But again, he is also an incarnation of, like Lord Nityananda, you can say, because incarnation of Sheshanag, right? So Sheshanag. So Shesha is Anant Shesh is another manifestation of Lord Krishna himself. So this is actually, it's called a spiritual science. Prabhupada calls this as a spiritual science. It is not just a mental speculation nor a sentimental approach. This is science. And it requires the study, the way we will study chemistry, physics, whatever. That kind of intensity we should have. If we don't have that kind of intensity, then we will not figure out this much. We'll pick here and there, but it won't be. That's why it requires many years of practice, many years of association, coming together, and then we learn. There's an opportunity to learn every day. In fact, if you are very eager, you can learn as often as possible in the same day. This visit, there's a tendency for us when you are there to listen for some time, and then the mind will take us away. That's the nature of the mind. So, but then we try to remember, I'm here for a purpose. And we have a purpose also. Why is it ISKCON exist? I'll come to that point. We have a purpose here, and we invite people also to come here. And maybe I'll tell that purpose again. I said earlier, ISKCON exists because Krishna exists and we exist. We exist because we are eternal, just like Krishna. And in fact, we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna has multitude of energies. He is the storehouse of all energy, everything. What we can see, perceive, hear about, all this, and what is beyond our perception, beyond our comprehension, all these things exist. We simply don't know because we have no means to access that, given this particular body and particular facilities, right? So, for example, we are limited, we cannot hear certain frequencies, what they call, beyond the frequency, sound spectrum, 25,000-30,000 hertz per second, but dogs can hear, dolphins can hear. Our eyesight is limited, not the eyesight of eagle. Eagle eyesight is very sharp. So we are limited. We may have, but one advantage for us is we have capacity, intelligence to figure out things. Simply what is good for us, what is not good for us. What is eatable, what is not eatable. So by doing things which are not good, we get into trouble. Sometimes we have to learn the hard way, but normally the parents guide the children, in this. So this way, this is another thing that for us to understand all this, it's called acquiring knowledge. By acquiring knowledge, we'll understand. And how this knowledge comes? This knowledge comes different ways. It is said the three standard methods are described. One is direct perception or direct hearing. That is called pratyaksha, and deduction. Okay. The example for deduction is somewhere you see, typically it said, okay, a little hilltop and you see some smoke coming up there, then you know there must be fire. The smoke will not come without fire. So that is deduction logic. It is also valid to some extent. Seeing and detecting, we saw something, but we didn't see the fire yet, we saw only the smoke. Then we make the conclusion there must be fire because otherwise smoke will not be there. So that is the second method, deduction. Third is hearing from authorities, dependable, qualified authorities. So we learn many things as children from our parents, right? Parents restrained us. For a toddler, once it's move, he's moving everywhere, touching this, taking this, and maybe handling the knife without knowing what knife can hurt. So the parents have to watch. It's very important for the parents to watch. So they stop the child from doing things which will harm. So then we know, sometime also we learn from this experience as well. The point is, we are acquiring knowledge. Knowledge is important. The knowledge we're talking about here is not knowledge pertaining to material world. We're talking about knowledge pertaining to spiritual realm. Why it is important? Fundamentally, we are all spiritual beings. All. Not only human beings, other species, whether insects, worms, birds, aquatics, all things which they are moving, but non-moving, like for example plants, trees, they also have soul in that. They are also. So, there are innumerable souls. There is no limit for number of souls. It's incredible. So these things are beyond our, how much we can understand infinity. We are all familiar with infinity. In fact, we have used that in some of our mathematical formulas, right? But really, we can only say, well, I can't really know. I can't tell you what exactly is beyond. Another way of also telling is limitless. So, infinity is limitless. So there's so much to learn. But then we cannot learn everything also, and may not be necessary also to learn everything. But we need to learn, and that knowledge is given in these books. So, and also, one cannot really take a book and read and figure things out. That's also difficult. So it has to be learned from a person who is qualified. So that is what the third point, sabda, hearing. We acquire that knowledge through hearing. Hearing is very, very important. So, in fact, the standard practice in ISKCON temples is hearing takes place not only once, definitely 2 times, sometimes 3 times, 4 times also. In many of these ISKCON centers, the standard one is actually morning, the Kirtan will be there. Hearing Kirtan is also hearing. We hear the Kirtan, we repeat it. So the hearing and chanting are expression, vocal expression. These are all also part of devotional service. We'll come to that point again. Dulal Prabhu already mentioned that we are here doing devotional service, like worshipping the deity is also devotional service. There are 9 aspects in devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Saksham, Atmanivedanam. So these are all one will learn. That is why it is required. We have to be very steady. If you don't do it steadily, we may acquire something, but we will eventually lose it because our retention capability is limited. And so many other things are happening in the world, and they distract us. Talking about those things, again, we also be aware of. I'm only very superficially going on this, so I may not be able to give you all the relevant information in one session, but we are distracted so much. So someone gave a new definition for WMD. It was many years ago, probably in early 2000s. There was another war is always happening. Wars are taking place, even for very, maybe for political reasons, not necessarily for enmity. There are many different reasons. So then this slogan was used. Oh, that's because there's weapons of mass destruction in a particular part. So therefore, a powerful country invaded a much smaller country on that pretext. What is modern day WMD? Weapons of mass distraction. It distracts us from what we are meant to accomplish. So this little device, I'm also carrying one. It's a good tool for us to become distracted easily. So we have to be very steady. And being steady is another problem, because unless we are in the right association, we won't be steady, because we will not be inspired. Many things take place because of inspiration. We get inspiration from different sources. We definitely get inspiration from our spiritual master. He has given us so many books to read. We hear also his talks. So we get inspired because he is realized the soul. He lived. What we are aspiring to live, that life he lived. We are aspiring to live a life based on spiritual purpose. We do have inclination to do that, but we may not be fully into it. Then somehow we have to start the process and we have to continue. So if you want to take away one thing from today's talk, is spiritual perfection, that is going beyond the bodily identification and really living as a soul, eternally part and parcel of the Supreme. And what is function of this part and parcel? Prabhupada uses the term. In way related to the Supreme, Prabhupada gives the example. A big machinery, something may fall off, and it doesn't have much value by itself. But when it is linked together, put together, and the machinery, then it serves a purpose. So our being spiritual individuals, part and parcel of Supreme, is actually meant to serve the purpose of the Supreme. What is the purpose of Supreme? Actually, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. All these things will become clear to us when we start reading Bhagavad Gita. As I mentioned earlier, like we study science. With that intention, with that focus, when we study, we will understand. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually says, he says something very, very significant. 2 times he says, Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So he says, become my devotee. Offer worship. Offer your obeisance to me. In other words, he says, you live in harmony with me. You live in harmony with me. My desire is you have to come back to me. Krishna wants us all back home. He says, we can consider Krishna as our Supreme Father. And Radharani as our Supreme Mother. Or in some tradition, they give importance to Lakshmi and Narayan. Lakshmi Narayan. Some people, Sitaram is their favorite deity. Family-wise, they may be involved in worship of Sitaram. That's fine. They are all other manifestations of the same Supreme Lord, Krishna and Radha. Again, for Indians, many of the Indians, it may be a challenge because they think Krishna is one of the incarnations of Vishnu. That's what we hear, and we think that that's what it is. It's not completely wrong, but it's not completely right either. The right thing is Krishna is the supreme original personality. Again, in Srimad Bhagavatam it is explained. Bhagavatam is given to us by the great sage Vedavyas. Vedavyas, after completing compiling the Vedas into 4 sections. Vedas existed always, but he compiled into 4 divisions. And then he gave us the Upanishads and the Puranas, everything. And ultimately, finally, under the instruction of Narad Muni, he also compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes about various dynasties, various great personalities in those dynasties, great devotees like Ambarish Maharaj, Ambarish, Dhruv, Prahlad. They are all born in royal families. So it gives a historical aspect of these great personalities. They are not fictional personalities. They are in there. But they lived in different yuga. Again, You will understand about Yuga again only by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Different Yugas have different characteristics. For example, in this Yuga, Kali Yuga, the duration of average human being's life is 100 years. But not necessarily because whatever happens around, people may not get to live 100 years. It will decrease eventually. As the Kali Yuga progresses, it will again decrease. And then it's actually unimaginable, I think. We don't want to even think of it. Later on, it will become a few short years. If someone lives up to 20, you can say current old man. Right? So that is the kind of thing it will happen during Kali Yuga. Towards much later, not now. So that is to say that is the nature of this Kali Yuga. But in the previous ages, people lived 1,000 years, and the age before that it was also 10,000 years. And the very first age, Satya Yuga, 100,000 years. For us it may look very strange. But do we know everything? No, we don't know. Possibility is there. Just because we don't see currently happening, we cannot go this imagination. I can say that. Because great sages have no reason to give any. And if they are going to say something, even as a matter of allegory, they will say it's an allegory. And in Srimad Bhagavatam has a few things. Allegory means that it is a fictional character to say something, to make a point. Ultimately, all these things is making a point for us to realize our true nature and what we are meant to accomplish. Right now, coming back to the purpose of ISKCON is to reconnect the forgotten relationship. We have eternal relationship with Supreme, Lord Sri Krishna, but that relationship is forgotten. We get too busy living in the material world. Because it has its challenges for sure. So the parents are concerned the children should stand on their own legs. They shouldn't be depending upon others. So therefore, they want the children to be properly educated and that they can take care of themselves without depending on others. But sometimes it becomes so intense to the very reasons, many different reasons. So then this aspect is forgotten during the period they are growing up. So imagine, only after 22, 23, a person taking interest. Will it genuinely last long? It may not. But if they hear from very young age, these are important. It's important for you. Don't forget. You practice now. Telling children, now you start chanting Hare Krishna mantra now. Then what happened? By way of doing it again and again, even in the interim they forget. Very likely it happened during the teenage years. But we were concerned with our daughter, although she was coming to temple regularly. Then, for probably a good reason, when she comes to grade 11, grade 12, more homework, more things to do, and then, so she was not coming that regularly. And while talking with our very close family friend, and that lady said, don't worry. She has done it all along, we encourage her till the age of 15 or so he'll come back, don't worry. And to our relief, he did come back. So afterwards, she discovered for herself what is ISKCON. That's the best thing, I think it happened for her. We also never pushed, we only wanted her to come to the temple regularly. Every Sunday, we will be at the temple. Then, you see how Krishna takes care. And she came and she participated. Children like clapping and dancing. Children want to be joyous, Sometimes we restrain them. So, but they want to be joyous, clapping, dancing, singing, whatever comes to their mouth, and moving around, and then being joyous. And that's what we do also, because if you consider the deities or Supreme Father, and we should never feel hesitant to clap and dance. And Krishna wants it because the parents wants to see the children being joyous, right? Therefore, the deities appreciate. Deities are also watching. Deities are not just ordinary, we call it vigraha. That means worshipable, in the form, is a worshipable form. but they also watch. If you go back and read the history of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees, there are instances where actually deity jumped out of the altar and joined in the Kirtan. So very interesting phenomena have taken place. So anyway, that forgotten relationship should be re-established. That is one of the important purpose of ISKCON. And I want to also read a little bit about about the different purposes. Because very recently we were, in another class we were talking about this. So, the purpose of ISKCON, Prabhupada actually given this purpose, to help all people discern reality from illusion, spirit from matter, the eternal from temporary. Okay, that makes sense? Because what is when you say illusion and reality? So reality is actually we are the spirit. That is reality because that is lasting eternally, right? Illusion, the appearance is there. It may be there even fractionally for some time, but it doesn't last long, right? So therefore, so we have to understand what is real from what appears to be real but is not. And spirit from matter, again, the same point, that we are eternal spirit and the matter. So right now, including me, we are thinking this is the body. That's where we are. So most of our activities based on bodily needs. And the eternal from temporary. And second purpose is to expose the faults of materialism. Prabhupada was very particular that when the scientists were saying that many different things, but not from any source, they're doing their kind of imagination, even to some extent speculation. But that is also because they don't have the real knowledge of the spiritual aspect of our life. So therefore, unfortunately, again, all inventions are again used basically to increase our material aspect. So we get caught up in that. As I mentioned earlier, these devices have good purpose. It can be used for good purpose, but often they are also used for not very useful. To say this, I need to say this point also. We all have a big asset. We come with big asset. Anyone can say, what is that asset? When we are born with some asset. Who said that? Quite right. But we don't realize that. I heard a devotee saying that. I don't know exactly, but he calculated it. 24 times 60 times 60. You all understand, right? 24 times 60 times 60. That amount of money you have every day. All of it will be gone. You'll again same amount of money next day. That also will be gone. If you don't use it, no benefit. The same way, 24 hours times 60 minutes times 60 seconds. So many seconds we have in every day. If we don't use these seconds in a meaningful way, that is lost. You can't get it back. Anyone has ever tried to get back 1 or 2 days of his life, especially when he knows time to leave? Many people don't want to leave, but they can't get back the time. So that's the biggest asset. So time is actually there for us. How we spend the time is up to us. Parents are meant to guide children on this. But then parents have to know themselves. What if parents didn't know? Because their grandparents probably didn't have opportunity or time to tell them. So they grow up in a certain way, and then whatever they know, they can guide the children. If they themselves didn't know. Again, I was wondering, how come none of the elders in our family ever told me to read Bhagavad Gita? I was somewhat upset actually when I read Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita. I should have read this much earlier. But Bhagavad Gita is the manual for life. How to conduct our life, how to get the best out of it. Who doesn't want, if you have some money, you want to invest? Who will invest it where you get only 1%, 2% annual return? Or there's another one is available which is 8 to 10%. Where you will invest? 8 to 10%, right? Given the same, whatever level of risk, it's not that one is more riskier than this. Sometimes it happens, but that's in, when you are speculating. So, in exchange, stock exchanges and sharing, shares being traded. So that's a speculation. But otherwise, we will want to get the best out of opportunities, right? The same way, we should try to get best out of the opportunity given to us every day. So that why I'm saying this is a fault of the materialism, because that actually keeps us bound. If you're too much involved, matter is going to keep us bound. So then offer guidance in the Vedic technique of spiritual life. Because spiritual life, again, could mean different things to different people. But it is clearly said in the Vedas. Vedas are the, if you want to call it, the most comprehensive, most ancient, source of knowledge. And Vedic knowledge, Vedic authority is accepted as the ultimate. So sometimes in day-to-day talk, especially in the villages, if someone says, no, you got to do this, I'm telling you, the other person says, why? Because you tell, is your word is Vedavak? Is it from the Vedas? Are you saying something from the Vedas that I should follow that? So that means that is ultimate. So Vedas includes many things. What we talked about, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Upanishad, they are all only one part of the Vedic, if you want to call it, compendium of knowledge. They are only one part. So there's a lot more. But luckily for us, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, if you study everything, what should be the conclusion anyway, right? Why should I study Vedas and what do you get out of it? And Krishna says, Vedaischa sarver ahameva vedyaha. Of all the Vedas, by studying it, you have to come to know who am I. Krishna says, who am I, who he is. But luckily, we can see that even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am the supreme and source of everything. And that is confirmed, again, by great authorities. It's not that Krishna is... first of all, there's no need for Krishna to ascertain himself that he is the supreme. He's supreme. It's given. So, it's like, the king in a kingdom saying that he is the authority. Of course, some people may not be willing to take it, but then he can show by his control of over his subject, he can show that. The same way, if Krishna wants, he can also show. But there's no need for him to do that. But his agencies will take care of it. If we do anything inappropriate, all the different power, energies Krishna possesses, they actually will help us realize that Krishna is the Supreme. It may take time, but eventually we'll come to know that. So, and also the next one is this, and Prabhupada called this as a spiritual culture, because things prosper through culture. Culture is a very, very large concept, very significant concept. And that also has to be, it should be there in the day-to-day life, and it also can come only through the parents. For culture to thrive, language is important, familiarity in the language, and there must be great literary treasures in that language, and familiarity with those treasures, whether they are proverbs, poems, play, drama, and it includes everything, not only literary time, music, any kind of art. All these together towards spirituality. That is how the Vedic culture existed all along. Even to this day, And definitely some of the remote parts of India may not be so much in big cities, but definitely in remote parts of India, there are people who are still living that culture, wearing the same traditional dress, doing the same thing again and again, what their forefathers did 500, 800 years ago. They are still doing that, continuing that. And they're doing it so, relishing it so much, they are not attracted with material thing, allurement. But they know the worth of what they are doing. So we need to understand. So Prabhupada says the ISKCON will to some extent fulfill that need. And to celebrate the chanting of the holy names of Lord as taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, this Hare Krishna mantra I mentioned earlier, there was restriction for people to chant, but Mahaprabhu removed all these restrictions, all these barriers. And he did it in a very, very wonderful way. And there's not enough time to talk about it, but it is worth reading about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Again, I'm only giving you very here and there some, few points. Please try to make it as a regular habit to come to the temple. Regular habit to read Bhagavad Gita. Whatever books you get. There's so many different books. It's like this. We need to have the spirit of exploring. What is this Krishna consciousness? Why it's being talked about? And what's in it for me? Because you don't want to do it willy-nilly, right? You want to gain something. And only people who gain by that can tell you, yes, please do that, you will gain. I'm not going to claim that I gained so much. No, I gained some. It has given me confidence there's a lot more to gain. So once you experience something in your own experience, and it's so good, you don't have to wait for someone else to say this way or that way. You don't wait for someone to say, oh, that's very good. Or even someone say, it's not that great. But from your experience, that your own experience will convince you and you will continue. So please somehow include chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. There is something called a chapter a day. Many devotees are practicing it. If you want more information that you want to do it in a group, if you feel more comfortable doing it in a group, everything is possible because that is the right way of using these devices and internet and such media. So you can put, anything can be put for good use. I mean, there are two sides, you can use it in one way or another. So there's opportunity to use in a good way, which will benefit our own ultimate benefit. So this is, I would say, captured in this, the purpose. And again, to help every living being to remember and serve Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the other purpose. And of course, later on, one more thing was added. To facilitate all these 6 above purposes, to have places, construct a temple kind of edifice where like-minded people can come together as we are doing and do the seva, service to the deity, do the Kirtan, chant the Hare Krishna mantra and reap the benefit. The more we do, the better for us. The more of us together we do, even better for us. So that's one of the reasons we encourage people to come in large numbers, and we also want to come regularly and request others. Ultimately, even Krishna leaves it to us. In our, the whole Bhagavad Gita is because Arjuna was somewhat perplexed, whether to fight or not. People who know the story of Mahabharata, you can easily relate to it. It's not again big topic, but we don't have time to do that. So Krishna says, it clarifies many questions Arjuna asks, and Krishna goes on answering. And finally Krishna says, now I told you everything. Your doubts are gone. Are you clear about what you need to do? Yes. And Krishna says, okay, then you decide what you're going to do. Krishna didn't say, after having said, become my devotee, always think of me, do everything, whatever you do, as an offering unto me. He said all these things. But finally he said, okay, you decide what you're going to do. So Krishna gives us this. One thing Krishna cannot do, but will not do, is to force us. He will never force us. But he will provide all encouragement for us to do it on our own. Because we are talking about a loving relationship. Love cannot be bought anyway. Love has to manifest. It will manifest. And again, that also another thing, very, very important thing, which many parents probably don't know. I am saying from my experience. Coming from a family, people were going to the temple, worshipping, everything was there. Right? But one thing which is very, very important is our love for the Lord is eternally within us. It's not manifesting. It is not something which will be acquired. It is not there, it's going to come. No. It is there, just like a seed. If you put the seed in the right place and put enough water to care of it, the seed will manifest as a little sapling, little seedlings, and eventually it will grow. And you protect it. As it grows, you have to protect it from other creatures coming in and eating the leaves or destroying the tree. You have to protect it. So the protection is important. At the same time, nourishment is important, both. So by doing this, it will eventually become a big fruit and give the benefit of a tree. So it is there. The tree, it is said that the seed of devotion is there, and in the right association, that is the right environment, you as a seed, you be there in the environment, and then you hear chanting, reading from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they are like nourishment for the seed to grow. And then you have to protect, because you don't take unnecessary association for people who are not interested, and even more dangerous, they are completely doing the opposite. The people who want to go for a binge of drinking or used to gambling and whatnot. So they add more this distraction and probably destruction also of their future by indulging in this. So, but if we very sincerely pray to Krishna, because in Bhagavad Gita again Krishna says, I am your supreme friend and benefactor. Mark this, supreme friend and benefactor. He is willing to do so many things for us, but then we need to pray and ask for it. Then we do voluntarily on our own choice, because we, read from Bhagavad Gita, or maybe spiritual master told us to do this, so we are inspired. Okay, I'm going to do this. So then when we actually implement it, then we'll see the benefit. Right? So what Krishna will not do, will not force us. But I think there is another way of Krishna interfering in cases. Beforehand, you tell Krishna, I may likely to deviate from this path. Should it happen, please, you feel free to come and interfere. When we plead that ahead of time, it's like getting your insurance, right? Ahead of time, you tell Krishna, you please, I'm likely to go away from this path. I'm likely to end up somewhere. But the moment you feel it is, you please protect me. You bring me back to good association so that I can, really make progress. But again, that is our choice. And we have to do that. But how we will do unless we are, today we hear that, tomorrow at the same time we'll remember this. You're lucky if you can remember this. If I remember this, I'll be lucky. What he said. So, but what I meant to say, the lifestyle is like that. The environment is like that. So we have to protect ourselves by choosing to be in the right environment and choosing to do the right thing, which is to chant Hare Krishna mantra, read the book, and ask for clarification if you are not sure. And Prabhupada said, don't accept anything blindly. Ask for clarification. Get the clarification and do. I wanted to quote some of other verses also where Krishna says, Mame vamso jivalok jivabhuta sanatanaha. Krishna says, all the jivas are my part and parcel. Mameva amsa. They are all Mameva amsa. My own part and parcel, they are all the living entities. So therefore, he wants us to be happy, joyful in our true nature. But we very often end up praying for some material benefit. We go and do something, some say puja, or some seva, or some temple. We ask for something material. It is okay, but we need to know how much to go, because there's no limit to our desires. Material desires will increase naturally. The environment is like that. So some things are in our favor when we take the path of devotional service. Some things are not. So we should be aware of both. When you are aware of both, then we see what to avoid and what to include in our daily sadhana, in our association, in whatever activities we do. So if you keep Krishna, the Prabhupada says, keep Krishna in center of your life. So do things around Krishna. And it will take time. It will take time. First of all, it will take first a decision from each of us. No, I want to do this. And then start doing it. And when Krishna sees that, and he sees we are inclined towards it, he will actually reciprocate. That's another important thing. Krishna actually reciprocates. It's the experience of many, many, many devotees. They see Krishna's reciprocation in their lives. As I said, if you eat something good, really good, and then you like the taste, that's your experience. So nobody can say, oh, this is not as good as you think. But you already tasted it, experienced it, right? So therefore So you may safely ignore the other person because you know for yourself. So Krishna actually reciprocates. Yayatam aham prapadyante tam stateva vajamyaham. So that's also for us. Many, many little things, if we can remember this and try to implement, and our life is much, much better, and our spiritual progress will also happen naturally. I'm going to stop here because it's already a lot of time. So another 15-20 minutes. So is there anything as a reflection or a comment, or you don't agree with what you heard, please feel free, because it's an opportunity for us to recapture our, what we learned and make sure that we understood.
The question is like there is so there is a Samanya Gyan in the Brahman Diksha. We have Vishesh Sambandh Gyan and Samanya Gyan. So what exactly is Vishesh Sambandh Gyan?
Sambandh Gyan?
There is a Samanya Gyan in Golok, and then there is a Vishesh Sambandh Gyan. So
I tell you what I know about it. It may not be complete. Maybe I have to refer to somewhere else. Knowledge actually, that's a very good point actually, I should have included it. So our knowledge includes three important things. Again, I learned it through Prabhupada books. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojanam. So I'm going to use the Sambandha for this purpose. So if you have more questions on that, we'll talk again later on. So it's a very, very important point you brought it. I thank you for that. So Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. The knowledge, Sambandha, is the knowledge about ourselves, each of us, and the Supreme Lord. That there is a relationship. As you mentioned, that relationship is eternally existing. It is not going to happen just because you happen to come to the temple today. It is eternally existing. But eventually you have forgotten it and it will manifest. That is Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Abhideya. But after knowing that I am part and parcel of Supreme Lord, Krishna, what do you do with that, right? It just only remains just a theoretical knowledge? No. You act according to that. Abhideya means you implement that knowledge. Okay? Knowledge should lead to action. Right? This is knowledge, it should lead to action. So the knowledge becomes meaningful for you. Doesn't remain theoretical. And then what happens? Sambandha abhidheya prayojana. And what is the result of having the knowledge and taking action? You will achieve the purpose. That is prayojana. And for us, the knowledge is Krishna is the Supreme. We have eternal relationship with Him. And how this relationship manifests is again another big topic. There are books written on that. One particular book is called Nectar of Devotion. There are many things are explained. So that, and the result is what we always hanker for. One thing we all are looking for, to love and to be loved. We want someone to love us. We want someone also to, have that loving relationship. It's a reciprocal, a relationship. That relationship with Krishna is eternal because Krishna is eternal, we are eternal, so the relationship is also eternal, provided we reconnect that. In a forgotten stage, then it's still going to remain dormant. It's not going to manifest, it's going to become alive. It has become alive for us to be relished. And it may be wondering also, a thought may come to your mind. Okay, I need that, but why would Krishna need that, right? I want to leave you with that thought. Another day we will talk about it. Okay? Krishna is already self-satisfied, right? Atmaram. Why does he need my love? Who am I anyway? Even in this particular city, I am one among the so many hundreds of thousands of people in this city. If we take the province, so many millions. If we take this country, again, even more millions. If we take this Earth planet, who knows, over 10 billion, 12 billion people. And that's only human being. If you take all other species and all limitless living entities, why Krishna is interested in my love, right? You can ask the same question, why Krishna is interested. We'll talk about it another day. Maybe if you know the answer, you please can share with me. All right. Okay, so that is the prayojana. Sambandha abhideya prayojana. Knowledge, action, result. Sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the lecture. My question is, what is the significance of chant? In between chanting, what is the significance of the shloka Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda? What is the significance of that?
Yeah, that's again very, very important. Thank you for that question. That, see, I didn't think of all a few things here and there. But that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Namo Mahavadanyaya. He's an extremely merciful person. Krishna, in his original position as Supreme Lord of everything, right? Everything emanates from Him. Therefore, the appropriate word for that in philosophy is Supreme Absolute Truth. Okay? There is no higher truth than Krishna. And that truth is manifesting in person. So many people think truth means only concept. No, it's not a concept. It's a person. Krishna is a person. He is the Supreme Absolute Truth. So, therefore, he may have a little bit of reservation, right? When Krishna appears a devotee, has no reservation, and his mercy flows unbound. Krishna actually in Bhagavad Gita, you become Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarvapabhibhyo Mokshishyami Masuchaha. First you surrender, then I will take care of you. That was including facilitating that relationship, forgotten relationship to be re-established, right? In case of Mahaprabhu, he is not waiting. He doesn't look for who is qualified, who is not qualified. He gives to everyone Hare Krishna mantra, chant. But what we do in the beginning, all of us, we don't chant properly. There's a lot of offenses happens during the chanting. Because to pure chanting, if you achieve, then that immediately you have love of Godhead. As soon as you chant purely, love of Godhead cannot but be there. It has to be there. But to get there, it's going to take a long, long, long time. Because you have a tendency to commit offense. So the proper way of understanding this, we have a offensive stage and clearing stage and Suddhanam, right? Okay. Aparadha, right? Offensive, right? And clearing, then it's mixed. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, sometimes we chant properly. And we go through that, ultimately we come to a stage of pure chanting. So all these offenses will be ignored by the Lord when you chant this. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sejayita Gatadhara Sivasi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Every round, all the experienced devotee will tell you, they do this. And in between also you can say, Jaya Gaura Nitya, Jaya Gaura Nitya, and then continue chanting the mala. So that is a good reminder for ourselves that we want to chant purely. And we are not doing it. But again, as I mentioned earlier, you can say, please let me chant. Let me not be distracted. I need your mercy to do this. So we are mercy seekers. Unabashed. That we have no reservation saying that I need mercy. We declare and actually show it that in our thoughts, in our words, we show it. I need all the mercy I can get because on my own I'll commit mistake, I commit offenses and all these things. It will come in the way of realizing that purpose. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that question.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you all again, once again. I think most of you are being very... Yes, there's one more.
I just want to comment is that you pointed out the time factor was very appropriate is that we should not lose the time. Since it was a very, very important point.
I'm repeating what Prabhupada said.
Yes,
Prabhupada
put
is
it in
spiritual
a-
science. Yes.
Yes,
But yes, that's true. That means any grade 11, grade 12 student will tell you that you can't go to your exam without studying the subject properly. You won't really make it. Here, there, maybe 1 month this, another month something else. Create another month electricity, little bit, another month this mechanics. No, you can't pass the physical exam by sporadically reading it. You need to read it very systematically. That kind of focus, that kind of regularity is required for it. Hare Krishna. Yes, sir. I think we should conclude because we don't have some chance for chanting Hare Krishna mantras. So I think we are always eagerly looking for a second session of chanting because hopefully listening to these topics will inspire us to chant with a little bit more enthusiasm. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Gaura Nitya ki Jai. Assembled devotees ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna.